I really only agreed to do this today because it gives me the opportunity to introduce one of the Northeast's greatest stars. I've admired his passion to help people and families with autism, and John has studied and researched this subject extensively so that he can effectively lead this great organisation, the Northeast Autism Society. Over the course of the last 11 years, he has modernised and transformed services for individuals with autism. So please give a very warm welcome to Northeast Autism's Chief Executive, Mr. John Phillipson.
Wow. How do I follow that, really? Just a brief story. I once went to a folk club, and I don't know if people remember Jake Thackeray. Jake Thackeray told a story about arriving at a social club, and he was introduced on stage by the concert chairman, who said, "Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's artist is Jake Thackeray. I don't like him. I voted against him, but I was outvoted." So it's nice to come on to a much warmer welcome than that. Right, I've got to just really set the scenes, and I'm going to have literally a few minutes to do that, just to talk about what is autism, how it might affect people in their daily lives, how it might affect them in work. As you'd gather, with only a few minutes, this is not going to be a tour de force, an encyclopedic explanation or whatever of autism and all the things that can affect people. But I do need to talk a little bit about how we aim to support people with autism and other hidden impairments, to prepare them for work. We will be talking about what is in it for employers, what are the benefits to employers and to companies around the region, and what's in it for us as a community. So given that I've got a lot of ground to cover, we thought we'd start with a brief film. And two of the stars of the film, Alex and Ellie, are here in the audience today. Ellie was dreading this bit, weren't you? But I think it's a very good little piece of film to get us underway.
Hi, my name is Alexander Isles. I'm also known as Sandy. I run a guided walking tours company in Newcastle called Isles Tours. I'm 25 years old and I was diagnosed with autism at the age of 9.
Hi, I'm Ellie. I'm a shoe designer / carer, and I was diagnosed when I was 28. To me, it means a neurological difference to the majority of the population.
I personally don't feel as if I'm very, very different to anyone else. And if I am, then it's not in a negative way. In fact, I think autism is a massive strength in my life rather than a weakness. So when people say, what is autism to you? I'd say it's nothing, because it's the way I am. I would struggle, I'd get very frustrated, very angry. It could lead to me getting into fights at school, stuff like that, because you couldn't always read the social situations.
It's more about just being able to organise my thoughts so that things come out in an order that makes sense to other people, and that I overtalk quite a lot, and then don't know what to say when it's important.
It was always a very big issue that I couldn't get on with other kids of my age. There was something there where either they considered me outsider, weird, different.
If it rains, it burns my skin. If people touched my arms when I'm having a bad day or whatever, it'll burn my skin and leave a mark. It's more just a feeling of being very overwhelmed and not being able to cope, and feeling like all you want to do is disappear and end up in a dark room. Remembering things in order, remembering lists of things that I need to do. I'll have something really, really important to do, but the only thing that my brain will allow me to do is organise my sock drawer or something that's not really going to improve my life.
The order and regimentation and stuff like that actually helped. Boarding school and the army are both quite good in that regards because they give you that structure, which generally I know probably to do with autism I quite enjoy.
It's not something that I can help even though I'm consciously trying not to do those things.
I think it affects me positively in many ways because the way I think is different, the way I take on information.
It's not a bad thing, it's just different, and if you have the right support, then you can do anything you want to do.
So there are a few things that I just comment on from the film. One is that people with autism are unique. And if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism, to use the cliche. They can have wide variations in the level of intellect and ability. We know this. There are people who are very, very skilled and people not so much so. There are around 40% of people with autism, according to research, who have learning disabilities. So there's a wide range of ability in there. What people with autism have in common is a set of differences in the way that they process information and the way that they think. And that can affect, as you saw in the film, the ability to plan, to sequence things, to actually put things in order, to work to routines. It can be things like interpreting social communication, reading the body language and communications, the subtleties and intonations of conversations and social interactions. It can be differences around focusing in on detail and missing the connection between different ideas, or focusing in on detail and not understanding the big picture. But at times that difference can be an asset. If you only focus in on fine details and you're very interested in specific subjects, you can become very expert in them. There are differences in the way that people sensorily process, so that some people might not be able to cope with a light as bright as that one up there. Other people seek out light stimulation. Some people are hypersensitive to noise, some hyposensitive to noise. But none of these differences, and that's all they are, none of these differences are insurmountable. And one of the things that we need to do through this new service is to carry out some detailed assessment work so we understand the world as it's perceived by the person who's seeking work. We understand their dreams and aspirations, the skills they have, the things that they're interested in, the abilities they have that we can build on and customize, personalize a plan of support for them. The next stage is to match them as closely as possible, the skills that they have, to the jobs that are out there. To do this, we're going to need a partnership with employers and organizations across this region so that we can understand the component parts of each and every job, and we can understand how best we can match the person to the tasks, teach them the tasks, help them with some of the soft skills or social skills that they need around personal communication, travel, budgeting, etc. Work with employers so that we're training employers to understand some adjustments that they can make in the workplace, and work with them to support the employee to get the best out of that whole arrangement, so that we have a bridge created. 26% of graduates with autism being unemployed is a shameful statistic. And I think there are many people that we've met already who could easily be supported into employment across the North East. One of the, you'll hear later today from Professor Amanda Kirby, whose assessment tool we're going to be working with. We need these, we need the partnership, we need a diverse range of jobs with different levels of ability associated with them if we're going to helpfully create a bridge for people who we know are out there who want to be employed. We've got a lot to get through, so I'll finish there, but just say this. I'm fiercely proud of being from this region. The history that we have in this region, the fact that we, some of our thinkers and entrepreneurs triggered the Industrial Revolution. Some of the companies we've got in this region have exported and continue to export all over the world. I'm passionate about the future for this region, and I do think we're going to be part of a northern powerhouse. But while we're doing that, let's also make a difference in this regard as well. I think the North East, if they work in partnership with us, can create employment opportunities for people whose quality of life will be fantastically improved. But we're not asking employers to engage in some act of Victorian philanthropy. We believe we've got people who are real assets. We are opening up a pool of talent to you, and we will help to support those people into jobs that are viable, sustainable jobs for them, and so that they're assets for your companies. If you will engage in that, please don't leave the building today without signing to say that you will join us, that you will meet with us after this, and we can talk through personally, one-to-one, how we can do that in your company. And don't miss one last point. Kevin, I realise I've gone over time here. One last point. Passionate about these things, as you might guess. If you own a hotel and you get someone working there who advises you on how best to make it autism friendly, you will attract customers who are on the autism spectrum and their families. It's happening down the road. We have one of the first hotels to do that in our region. Other companies can take advantage of what's been referred to as the purple pound. Please don't leave here today without putting your name down. Don't leave without joining this process.